This week, we learned that 6 New York City police officers are being investigated for steroid use. Experts see cops and steroids as a bad combination, and it's getting worse. They see it in police brutality cases and other problems. The early show has finished a 2-week investigation of steroid use by cops, and our national correspondent Jeff Glor has the results. Good morning.
Harry, good morning to you. These days, steroids are easy to get and often hard to test for. Police officers use them so they're ready for dangerous situations. But doctors say the officers themselves can become dangerous.
Yes, I wanted to be bigger. Yes, I wanted to be stronger.
Phoenix officer Albert Smith looks muscular and imposing for a reason. He was suspended for taking steroids.
There's tons of guys out there, tons of guys on the fire department, on the police department that are using. In my honest opinion, I don't believe they should be illegal.
But they are. And for over a year and a half, his colleagues have been embroiled in a scandal. A half-dozen officers have already been fired or resigned. The feds got involved, and the DEA investigation continues. At least a dozen more cops are suspected of using. A former Phoenix cop, a first-hand witness to a violent attack by a fellow officer who was on steroids, warned CBS station KPHO back in 2006 that problems were coming.
Whether it's a family member of one of the officers or just someone on the street on a call that they respond to, someone is going to get hurt.
Everybody knows that steroid use occurs among law enforcement officials.
Harvard University's Dr. Harrison Pope has been researching the use of illegal steroids for decades, and he knows why cops do it, so they're bigger and stronger in dangerous situations. But it can backfire.
Every time I hear a story about seemingly inappropriate violence by a police officer, I always find myself wondering if the case might be steroid related. It's hard to know just how extensive this problem is. Police officers are not going to come forward and disclose that they have been taking illegal drugs.
Phoenix is not alone. In recent years, police officers in at least 10 states have been accused of using, possessing, or dealing steroids. A raid of a West Palm Beach lab in 2005 implicated 13 officers and sheriff's deputies across South Florida. 3 weeks ago, the biggest steroid bust in U.S. history led to the arrest of a New York police officer. And then this Tuesday, those 6 New York City officers came under investigation after the raid of a Brooklyn pharmacy. Dr. Todd Schliffstein of the NYU Medical Center has treated many officers who abused. Do some patients come to you and say, look, I think this might affect me on the job. I might be too aggressive. I might be going over the top.
I think people come in with legitimate concerns about how it affects their psychological profile, their attitude. They can't control their anger or aggression. What can they do about it?
In Phoenix, what they're doing is making every officer watch a training video. A 30-minute educational DVD that explains the dangers of steroids. But is that enough? Testing is another deterrent, and it is being done in cases, but there are no universal testing guidelines or standards, which means, according to Dr. Pope,
the problem of anabolic steroid use overall is going to get worse before it gets better.
The biggest obstacle for testing is the price. It costs $100 per test, and that's something many cash-strapped departments cannot afford on a consistent basis.
Now, from your investigation, do you know of any departments that have formal drug testing policies on an ongoing basis in the country?
Amazingly, none that we could find.
Wow.
I mean, doctors say the gold standard is the Olympics testing program. They can't afford that, though. I mean, there's many more officers than there are athletes, and it's just too expensive.
Is the sense that you get from being around the cops, though, that this is a risk they're willing to take because they feel like they need it to be out on the street?
Many are. You saw that interrogation video. They feel that it makes them stronger, and they're obviously in dangerous situations. So you could maybe see the rationale. You also see the danger.
Right, there you go. Jeff Glor, thanks so much.